All right, so President of El Salvador, this guy Nayib Bukele, um, he's got in few years ago and has been making a lot of changes. He's been a huge advocate for Bitcoin. Um, he has done a lot to um, cut down on the murders and the gang violence that takes place in El Salvador by mostly by this gang MS-13, and um, making a lot of social and economic reform as far as um, allow having a country that's based has principles that are in kind of um, like what has their kind of high-minded principles that are have made a lot of countries great before, and or a lot of you know powers, whether they be nation states or empires. um, he's using a lot of this. He uses he's supporting a lot of the same um, ethos in his population. Um, he's made it a point to make sure that prime age men between working men between 35 and 50 are the ones who are in um, most of the positions of authority, um, because they have the ability to make unpopular decisions, stick with them, um, and deal with the negative press surrounding those decisions. I'll give you this is Nayib Bukele give uh, speech to his national police force. Um, it's a pretty good speech. Um, take a listen.
Llevamos 8 meses en esta guerra contra las pandillas y gracias a Dios la estamos ganando. Esta es una victoria demasiado sorprendente que está ahí cerca. Que quede claro que la gloria es para Dios y que es de Dios. Nosotros los seres humanos tenemos la dicha de ser instrumentos de Dios, todos nosotros, para llevarle paz, libertad y felicidad al pueblo salvadoreño. Y nosotros somos el instrumento para sanar esta tierra. Cada uno de ustedes son un instrumento de Dios para hacerlo. La paz no se consigue firmando acuerdos entre corruptos, repartiéndose el poder entre asesinos. La paz se...
I have to pause it or else I'll get copyrighted.
Construye con trabajo, con sudor, con esfuerzo y con la valentía que tienen ustedes y sus hermanos policías. Debe tener algo que le indica que uno es parte de algo más importante que uno mismo y que vale la pena arriesgar la vida, por eso que es más importante que uno mismo. Son valores, valores como la valentía, como el coraje, como la fortaleza, la disciplina, el patriotismo, el honor, la lealtad, el amor por el prójimo. Son valores fundamentales de la sociedad humana, pero son valores que se están perdiendo cada vez más en el mundo. Si ustedes ven noticias internacionales...
I mean, this guy's spitting. Let me get back.
Por el prójimo. Son son valores. Valores como la valentía, como el coraje,
bravery,
como la fortaleza,
strength,
la disciplina, el patriotismo, el honor,
honor,
la
loyalty,
lealtad, el
and
amor por el
love for
prójimo.
fellow man.
Son valores fundamentales de la
These are
sociedad
fundamental
humana, pero
values
son
for
valores
human
que se están
society,
perdiendo
but
cada
these
vez más en el
values
mundo.
are increasingly scarce in the world.
Ustedes ven noticias
If you watch the
internacionales y van a
international
dar
news,
cuenta
you will
cómo
see
los valores
how
más
the most important
importantes que tiene el
values
ser humano,
for such
como
human
el
beings,
honor,
such
la
as
lealtad,
honor,
la
loyalty,
valentía, el
courage,
coraje,
and
el amor
courage,
por el
and
prójimo,
love for your
son
fellow man
precisamente
are
los
precisely
valores
the
que cada
values
día
that we are
se
losing.
pierden más, que cada
With
día hay
each
menos.
passing day,
Y por eso,
and that's
ven como
how
sociedades que parecía que ya lo habían, como sociedades que parecía que ya lo, por eso,
And
ven
that's
como
why you can
sociedades
see
que
how
parecía que ya lo habían
societies that
logrado,
seem to
ahora
have
se van
won
degradando,
now are
porque están
degrading
perdiendo
as
los
they are
valores que los
losing the
hicieron
values that made
grandes.
them great.
Valores que
These
probablemente
values
no
were
eran, no
probably
eran
not
fuertes en
strong
esta
in this
tierra,
land,
y sí eran
and were
fuertes en
strong in
otras
other
tierras.
lands.
Y por eso es que esas
And
tierras
that's why those
crecieron y se
lands
hicieron
grew
grandes.
and it
Pero esos
became great.
valores
But they
los
are
están
losing those
perdiendo ellos
values now.
ahora. Y por el contrario, en El
And on the other
Salvador, los
hand, in El
valores que
Salvador,
antes
the
estaban
values that
degradados
precisely
en
were
nuestro
degraded in
país,
our country
ahora son los
are
más
now the most
importantes.
important
Y si
ones.
no, mírense
Just take a
ustedes,
look at yourself,
hombres y
young
mujeres
men and
jóvenes,
women
que tienen todos
who
estos
embody
valores.
all these
¿Cómo
values.
no va a surgir una
How could a
nación con
nation not
valores
rise
así?
up with values
¿Cómo no
such
va a
as
surgir
these?
una nación
How
que
could a
pone
nation
primero a
not
Dios
rise up when
y
it
que luego
puts
pone su
God
trabajo
first
y de esfuerzo
and
con
then puts the hard work and
este tipo de
effort with
valores?
these kinds of values? I mean, I can see why they want to get rid of him. This guy's spitting. Now, yeah, they did a little thing on prisons. They seem a little bit cramped. The 2 toilets for 1,000 dudes or whatever was tough. But overall, I think he's taken the daily homicide rate was like 18 people a day in El Salvador. They had 7,000 plus murders for the year 2015, I believe. What are you doing? Yeah, don't chew that. Yeah, don't chew that. Yeah. So it was El Salvador's murder rate was something like 7,000 plus people for the year 2015. And he's gotten it down to, I believe it was like 600 for last year, which is pretty impressive. So from like 18 a day to 1.8. Strong men create good time. He's great on Twitter. He does too much, he supports InfoWars, supports he's got Max Kaiser basically as his like financial advisor for the country, which is awesome, but I'm sure they hate that. Let's see what. So Nayib Bukele, this is American journalism InfoWars right there.
We have this homicide chart, El Salvador homicide rate from 2010 to 2022. You can see that the murders reached a zenith in 2015 with nearly 6,656 murders in a single year for a daily homicide rate of 18.2 or 103 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants. As of 2022, the total homicides have gone from nearly 7,000 to under 600. The daily homicide rate has gone from 18.2 to 1.8. And the homicides per 100,000 inhabitants has gone from 103 to 10.3, literally 1/10 of the former amount. And you can see the precipitous drop beginning in 2019 continuing through 2020, 2021, and into 2022, where it has gone down to 600 total homicides or less this entire year. 6,600 to under 600. All thanks to this guy. Of course, what do you think the powers that be think about this guy? How do you think this guy's portrayed in the mainstream media? Well, all you have to do is search his name, Nayib Bukele, and you can see. And it's like, even if you don't know anything about this guy, search his name, read the headlines, and come up to yourself whether he's a good guy or not. Because here's the headlines. El Salvador's war on itself, the siege of Soyapango. And we'll talk about what that is exactly. Bitfinex goes full fascist. Report on Salvadorian gang crackdown details killings, other abuses. Thousands of troops surround city in gang crackdown. State Department, Salvadorians tried to directly influence U.S. election. Trolls, propaganda, and fear stoke Bukele's media machine in El Salvador. Right? They hate this guy. They despise this guy because he's showing that there is another way. He's showing that you can actually fix problems. Yeah, he's going to war with the criminal elements in his country. Of course, this is infuriating to the otherwise totally authoritarian mainstream media in this country. The infuriating to the elements in his country. Of course, this is infuriating to the otherwise totally authoritarian mainstream media in this country. Rise of Nayib Bukele, El Salvador's authoritarian president, from the New Yorker. The budding strongman has ridden Bitcoin schemes and a repressive crackdown on gangs to become Latin America's most popular leader. Most popular leader in South America, because he's cracking down on the gang. Like, they're literally like, how dare this guy crack down on gangs? He's repressing gangs. How dare he? He's repressing the murderous cartels that have made life in El Salvador unbearable in the past. How dare he do that? So we're going to go to a speech now that he gave to his troops right before they embarked on this mission.
Llevamos 8 meses.
He says, for 8 months, we have been fighting the war against these gangs.
Y gracias a Dios,
and thank God we're winning.
Ganando. Esta es una victoria
This is a very...
We just watched that. But, yeah, so he's... Sounds like a damn... It's Mike Flynn, LTG. I don't know what that means. Lieutenant General, maybe? Mike Flynn? Retired. Sounds like a damn good speech to me. What do we need from American leaders? Never gonna happen. Putting God first in America is what our founding fathers did, and removing God is what the left has done and has been working overtime to achieve. Like many nations, our American values are being tested, but in the end, God wins. I fucking hate that shit. But in the end, God wins. Just like live and let God. Like God, if in the end, use your fucking brain. Because that's what God gave you. And if you can't use that, then actually God lost. Because he put his soldiers out there and their dumbasses thought that they could just, you know, let go and let God. Instead of using what God gave them, like, ability to think and act. But in the end, God wins. No. How is God winning? They have like child organ harvesting in Ukraine. And this guy's saying, our American values are being tested. They're more than being tested. We don't have values anymore. But in the end, God wins. It's guys like this is why we don't have American leaders like our founding fathers. Because we have old jokes like Mikey Flynn, you know, who spent, you know, all of 2019, 2020, 2021 talking about the storm coming, talking all this bullshit. And then now he's telling you that we're just being tested. Everything been stolen from us, but it's just a test. And in the end, God wins. It's that simple. God always wins. Ah. I fucking hate those people. In the end, God wins. Just let go and let God. But Nayib seems like quite a strong leader. Seems like what the El Salvadorians needed. And turning that place around, I know that I watch a YouTuber. I forget if it was this guy, Peter Santinello, or if it was a few different travel vloggers. But one of them went to El Salvador to see what it was like. It was pretty nice to me. A lot nicer than most American U.S. cities. So, it'd be nice if they could get some more toilets for these boys, because what if 10 guys got to take a shit at the same time? 1,000 guys in there? You're going to have some overlap in shit time. 24 hours a day and there's 1,000 guys in 2 toilets. I don't understand how that can work. How can everyone take a shit in one day? You have 24, even if you're going 24 hours, guys are going 24 hours, I still don't think you could get everyone on the shitter. I mean, maybe if you gave guys less than 5 minutes, 3 minutes. But, aside from that, obviously this gang is out of control. The tattoos are, essentially telling you exactly what they've done, which is a lot of killing, a lot of graping, a lot of destruction at the hands of guys who are all tatted up like that, because if they're tatted up with the MS-13 storylines on them, then it tells you just about all that they've done. And if you have those, if you're stealing valor, stealing honor in those gangs, it's not like the military. In those gangs, if you steal honor, steal valor, they murder you and chop your body up. So guys aren't gonna just get fake MS-13, gang tattoos all over them if they aren't really graping, really murdering. So I think he had to lock people down in some sort of way. Optics are weird. I don't know why he's got him running like that, but I mean, I guess that's what you do. But hopefully they can get these guys some more toilets. But that's really my only complaint. A couple more toilets, maybe get 10 toilets per 1,000. I think it's a fair compromise, Nayib can say he compromised with these folks a little bit and put some extra toilets in, and these guys can be happy they don't have to wait so long to hop on the shitter. But all in all, I think pretty productive, and it's not hard to see why they hate him, because he is they love authoritarianism as long as it's leftism authoritarianism. If it's somebody who wants strong strong values for the nation, such as what he said, value for human life, honor, bravery, courage, to bring peace, liberty, and happiness. Then, 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 then it's you know, you gotta commend that leadership on his part. We definitely don't have that here in the U.S. But he's setting a good example for how to combat some of this. I think Alex Jones, I was listening to him this morning. He was saying that one bad thing about some of this authority, him having a good police force that takes out a lot of these gangs. Eventually, once the police force is the premier force in the nation, that will be corrupted. And once Naib's gone, then that will be corrupted, and you'll have, that's the problem with centralization, is that all it takes is for the wrong person to get in, and all the forces that were used to go work for the good of the nation are then reversed and used for the exact opposite. So that is the problem always with centralization. And what Alex was saying, why Naib, he likes Naib's effort, but you can get in a bit of a conundrum, I guess. Neil Kashkari, who is the he is a Fed president for Minneapolis Fed. So Kashkari often makes some, statements, I guess you can say. No, that's not very enlightening on what kind of statements he makes, but he's a Fed president, so he makes, kind of. Sometimes he's not a dumb guy. I don't want to say he's a dumb guy, but he's like this says wage growth is too high. Fed can't declare victory, or there will be a flood of exuberance. Speaking at a question and answer session in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Minneapolis Fed President Neil Kashkari, who is a voter on the FOMC in 2023, said that he has not yet decided if he will back accelerating the central bank's interest rate increases when officials meet later this month, amid signs inflation is not cooling as hoped, and explained why the Fed will not stop until it has started a recession as follows. If we declare victory too soon, there'll be a flood of exuberance, and we will need to do even more work. I'm open-minded at this point, but whether it's 25 or 50 basis points, Kashkari said, but noted that to him, it is much more important than whether it's 25 or 50 is what we signal in what's called the dot plot, even though Powell explicitly tried to talk down the predictive power of the dot plot after the Fed's catastrophic experience in predicting transitory inflation in 2021. We're not seeing as much of a sign of our interest rate increases slowing down the services sector of the economy, and that is concerning to me. He said wage growth is at a level that is actually too high to be consistent with our 2% inflation target. So, I mean, it's a lot of puffy language to essentially say that he wants people to make less, so that it's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what drives inflation, and what's gonna is you can't. I mean, you can drive up interest rates as much as you want. You can try and kill you know, kill the consumer's ability to, um, buy anything. But I mean, it's I don't even know what to say because he he wants you to be poor. That's essentially what he's telling you. This guy is a Fed president, so he does nothing except for change the cost for you to borrow money. So I mean, that's really all he does, and they try to, you know, puff it up to make it seem like he's, doing more than just in charge of the printer and, um, you know, making dot plots for, predicting inflation and then scheduling interest rate, bumps. So I mean, it's the easiest job on earth, and he makes $500,000 a year doing it. All these guys make like $500,000 a year doing it. The average salary at the Fed is like 250,000. So I don't even know what the Fed president is. So he makes a bunch of money doing absolutely nothing. He's a second hander. He's a non-productive asset in the in the in the mix of everything. So that's the thing with all of these guys who predict stuff and talk about things is at the end of the day they're non-essential and unproductive assets, for society at large. And so if we're going to talk about, cutting out, non-essential activity, making things more efficient, we want to use all the puffery language, making things more efficient, cutting out the fat, then I think the first people who can go are presidents because, um, you know, they're a waste of money. Um, they're unproductive. They're non-essential. This could be done by, we might as well just put this in the power of the president at this point. Even though it can be corrupted, I mean, we see the Fed is already completely corrupt. Um, and so they want wage growth, to be low because they feel like the fact that inflation is, and this isn't inflation from people spending, it's really inflation from, I mean, it's inflation from people spending, but it's not inflation from people buying more things. It's inflation from people paying more for the same things, a lot more. So groceries, much more, and that's not even uh, half the stuff that half the stuff that you think about as, you know real cost of living increases, um, aren't even counted by the Fed as inflation because it's all kind of a game. It's all, fudged stats. If you're new to the world, yeah, everything is fake. Everything you see is fake. Um, you know, it's all pretty much a lie. I don't want to sound black pilled again, but the Fed is an absolute corrupt joke. Um, and so this guy's going to want you making even less than you are now, while eggs have tripled in price. Every thing you buy at the grocery store has doubled in price. It goes up, 10 cents every 2 weeks. Everyone knows that. 10, 20 cents. You can see it. It's every week. Oh, it's up. It's up again. 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 And somehow that is, the fact that you have to spend more to feed your family is now too much. It's too much action, and, it's the services sector is not slowing down as it should. So people are still buying things to pay for their lives, and that's not okay. So they need to make sure that they hush the wage growth. And it's funny because the people who are out at restaurants are, they're the the same yups who are making easy money off the free moneyers. So it's the home builders that are selling to the guys who work, you know, at the Fed who get, these fat fat salaries for doing essentially nothing. And then they put it into, you know, these expensive restaurants and home builders. And then, inflation is high. And then, everyone else who's poor, scraping by, um, is told that, the people who are getting this free and easy money and spending it and causing the prices of, goods to go up is actually a sign that we need to make sure that the poor people who are already not getting any of the easy money get even less. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, just keep repeating it over and over until it does. That's the upside down world we live in. So it looks like they favor 50-point basis hike. So, that's your leadership at the Fed. Amazon is I got confirmation. I had a buddy that worked at that Amazon and look at this. Advisor to President Zelensky. This is the president of Ukraine right here. New York in 1999. And that's one of the least risque outfits I've seen. He's done like those videos of him doing naked dance. I don't even know what they are. It's all in Ukraine, so I don't know if it's like I don't know. I don't know what they do in Ukraine. Weird place. But President Lula, who, got in via stolen election, declares that if you don't get your child hit with them death things, then you lose your welfare. So enjoy. And then my last topic of the day. This is a girl posted this about Amazon work conditions. I had a buddy confirm this. It is pretty dystopic, especially again the right being, the bootlickers they are. I love this. They see no issues in it. They're just making sure that people don't get on their cell phones while driving. You can't teach it. The right is inevitably always going to be slaves. They're just the house boys. Mo Massa said it was a good thing, so I was loves that. Unbelievable. But anyways, this girl, listen to this.
That little guy is how we are tracked. It's probably recording me recording it, but it can't hear me, so that's nice. So it has one camera facing me, one camera facing forward, and then one camera on each side. The one camera in front tracks how close we are to other drivers, and if we stop at stop signs. So if we don't stop at a stop sign, like fully stop, then we get a violation for that. It tracks our speed, so we cannot go more than 6 miles per hour over the speed limit or we get a speeding violation. These vans also track our buckle count. So it'll count how many times we buckle our seatbelt, and if we don't buckle it enough, then or we like miss a buckle, then that is a seatbelt violation. But also, that camera is watching me while I drive, so I cannot do a lot. If I want to sip up my coffee, I have to pull over so that I can grab it and drink it, because if I do it while I'm driving, then that's a driver distracted, which is also a violation. I can't touch the center console, or else that is a driver distracted violation. One guy was itching his face, his beard, one time, and the camera picked it up that he was on the phone, and so he got a driver distracted violation for itching his face, but they disputed it. And I cannot unbuckle my seatbelt until I am in park. I also cannot get out of my seat until I'm in park, which is obvious. So yeah, everyone who works for Amazon pretty much hate those little things, but we have to remember it's just for safety. But I thought I would give y'all a little rundown of it because
Yeah, and I guess you can't put a bag in the front passenger seat either. I don't think the person's in the seat. And this is what they've got coming to personal vehicles everywhere. I mean, this was in the omnibus bill for new manufactured cars, 2026 and beyond, to make sure they've all have equipped with this stuff and breathalyzers, so that they can remote stop your car whenever they want. If you're, disobedient. And yeah, I mean, this is Brave New World.
enough that
So Brave New World. You get watched.
You ever go to the doctor?
Yeah.
You ever go to the hospital?
Of course.
You ever go to the lab?
No.
Whenever you pay your bill with a credit card,
Yeah.
I get a couple pennies off of it
Oh.
in the whole United States.
And how come?
Because I own the patent.
The patent for what exactly?
The process.
The process to pay for.
Victoria's saying she wants to go.
What was your business?
What are you doing? The process for this guy gets billions. Yeah, I mean, I guess he made a payment processor for doctors' offices. So entire U.S. healthcare is 50,000 guys exactly like this, stacked on top of each other. Sure is. Sure is. It's all just a gimmick and a scam. Keep you sick and to keep these guys rich. But make sure you keep hustling, guys. Keep working. That's all you can do. You got.
I asked the NIH director about the NIH's gross negligence in monitoring the EcoHealth Alliance grant Institute of Virology. After admitting that we might not have all of the information and research reports from the WIV and EcoHealth, he insisted that he was sure that the coronavirus research that the U.S. taxpayer dollars funded at WIV was completely unrelated to SARS-CoV-2. And I was wondering if any of the three of you had any thoughts on that.
Thank you, Congresswoman. The reason this is even an issue is that it's embarrassing we funded the lab. If we had not funded the lab, 100% of Americans would say this is obvious, this is a no-brainer. The epicenter of the world is 5 miles from one of the only high-level virology labs in China. The doctors initially were arrested and forced to sign non-disclosure gag documents. The lab reports have been destroyed. They've not been turned over. The sequences reported from the lab to the NIH database were deleted by a request from Chinese scientists that called over early on and said, delete those sequences we put in the database. And 2 leading virologists, maybe the 2 top virologists in the United States, Dr. Michael Farzan from Scripps and Dr. Robert Gary from Tulane, told Dr. Fauci on his emergency call in January of 2020, when he was scrambling soon after learning that the NIH was funding the lab, they both said that it was likely from the lab. Both scientists changed their tunes days later in the media, and then both scientists received $9 million subsequent in funding from the NIH. It's a no-brainer that it came from the lab. I mean, at this point, it's impossible to acquire any more information, and if you did, it would only be affirmative.
So, lab leak was intentional. Made by Fauci, Desic, and Peter Desic, Fauci, and slipping my mind right now. Not Strzok, but Desic and you see it here though. These guys knew it was what it was. A lot of cowardice in 2020. Big psyop. But I don't know. The birds are going wild right now outside the house, and my cat's missing, so I'm a little bit distracted. So I think I'm gonna end this thing early. Try to go find the old Kizette. Very sad. 2 in like a fucking month. They're getting murked by, I don't know. Sad. All right.